What is one alcohol you'll never drink again? Never forget, years ago me and my buddy were outside talking and a dude who lived with me, long ass story, came out and said he had made moonshine with Evercolor. My buddy said he'd do a shot if I did it. We took it at the same time and both immediately doubled over in agony. It felt like a blowtorch was taken to my esophagus. My first time drinking it, we were all gonna take one shot to start off with and then make riot punch. Only one girl had it before nobody else. It hit the bottom of my throat and I was like, yep, I just drank something that probably melts tar. Now riot punch is just Evercolor or any pure grain alcohol, and this is why you have to take a few shots to get the level down. Packets of Kool-Aid. Just straight up a few packets of Kool-Aid, no sugar or nothing. You can mix and match or go one flavor, then just shake up the bottle really good and bam, you got riot punch. I highly do not recommend consuming this unless you want to wake up somewhere terribly unexplainable or jail. I woke up completely naked on top of a bush somewhere off campus. Do not remember anything after getting to the parking lot of the football game. It was on Saturday afternoon and I woke up on Monday evening. After drinking that and other stuff, me and some friends somehow ended up in the next state over at some other party where we didn't know anyone else. I'm not talking about Northeast where you can drive 30 minutes and possibly be 2 states over. I'm talking when I was living smack dab in the middle of Arizona. You ever had Spiritus Polanski? It's pretty much the same thing I guess, but they give it to insomniacs. Never ever take a full shot glass of it. It will actually take your breath away. Edit. It's mostly sold as Polmos Spiritus Rectificani, but it was relabeled for some reason in some stores here. Dude, that's 96% pure, rectified ethanol, 192 proof. You don't drink it raw. You dilute it with 1,5 parts water first. I mean, you can drink it raw, sure, just make sure to down it in one shot. B. Take a breath before, and exhale with your mouth after. Fun fact, in Western Europe spiritus or spirit is considered separate class of alcohol, not a very strong vodka like in US. Spiritus is basically any grain or potato distilled alcohol over 90% ethanol. Moonshine. At 19 I shared a drawer with a friend at a college tailgate, blacked out and disappeared. I woke up the next morning tucked in on a couch in a living room in a house I had never been to before. Purse and shoes next to me along with an unopened bottle of water. I had no cash missing. Phone still intact. I was totally alone. So I just got up, left a thank you note in the kitchen, and let myself out. To this day I have no idea how I got there. It was probably about a mile from where I was tailgating, or what kind Samaritan took pity on me. I'm now much more careful, make sure I follow the buddy system, and will never take another sip of homemade moonshine. You have no idea how strong it is, so you can't count your drinks. Ha 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 ha. Yes, I was thinking, moonshine. Probably Appalachia. Someone housed you kindly and all you stuff was intact. Appalachia in a college town where no one stole from you. Def could be WV, Marshall doesn't tailgate as hard as WVU. So I replied with my guess. Glad you ended up safe from that night and you learned your lesson in a much easier way than you could have. Used to work in the casino industry and would go clubbing after work, so I never had time to eat beforehand. Took 5 tequila shots on an empty stomach. Next thing I know, I'm hugging the toilet in the restroom and black out again. When I woke up the next day, turns out I lost all motor function and my friends had to get me a wheelchair to leave the casino and carry my ass to the car door. I literally gag when I try to take a tequila shot now. Burnett's Pink Lemonade. Long story short, I was a sheltered child that went from a really small school to a large, public university, and I knew basically nothing about alcohol. Parents, don't shelter your children, teach them responsibility. Abstinence doesn't work. So, I experience a night that has been since known as 12 shots. 20 minutes. That's how I got 2 strikes in one night freshman year of college. I didn't even do anything crazy. It was the 2 cops, 3 EMTs, 2 RAs and the hall director, all of whom made sure I didn't die of alcohol poisoning, that got me 2 strikes due to the amount of resources that was called in. Now almost any burnett's, especially the pink lemonade, that brings back an enormous taste of shame-filled regret and puke. But hey, you learn the easy way or the hard way. I'm just glad my hard way was hard for me and not hard on my friends and family. Don't underestimate alcohol and drugs. Do your research, kids. We had training in the Navy on the danger of Four Loko. At the beginning of the training I had no idea what Four Loko was. By the end of it I went straight to the store on the way home and bought 2. I'm fairly certain it was the orange diesel fuel flavor, but by God it did what they warned us it would do. Knew I was drunk but felt like running a marathon for about 30 minutes, then just felt like hell. Ugh, I hate that shit. SoCo is evil. And so was my stupidity. Drinking game many years ago. 2 bottles. 4 people. 25 minutes. We were taking shots out of mugs and the shots just kept getting bigger and the bottles emptier. I am not good at drinking games. I tended to be the idiot having to drink the most. I passed out soon after. Next morning and the following day were worse than hell. Some serious alcohol poisoning was had. And that was the last time I played a drinking game. I can't even smell the stuff now without feeling a vomit coming on. Just thinking about it right now makes me gag. I'm not much of a dancer, but I had been nursing beers all day while watching some musicians at a festival when the 2 elderly women joined me and offered me sips from their water bottle. Any other time I would have held my composure, but the crowd, the atmosphere, my previous intoxication, and the music all mixed together to form some deadly concoction that lead me to dance wildly. I vaguely recall throwing my body around before festival security escorted me to my sleeping quarters. Even though I'm not a drinker by a large margin, I did have some exceptional tequila from Mexico. It tasted like warm peach juice. No burning, just a nice sensation in the mouth and throat. Additionally, you mustn't shot it, just a small sip is sufficient. I have tried multiple tequilas since then and hated all of them, so I share your thoughts on that one. You're supposed to do this whole ritual for it. I was not so painfully pretentious after college and got a good bottle with the silly little spoon. You pour something that may as well be glowing bright green into a glass. Balance this spoon over the glass and put a few sugar cubes on top and then pour in ice water over the cubes as they dissolve. It did not help. I hate licorice but I wanted to drink the drink creator's drink. It burned and the sugar never did anything. Ugh, I loved the little ritual you had to do at the time, but now. Thankfully my alcoholic friend helped me polish that bottle off or I'd still probably have half of it. The alcohol in hand sanitizer is propanol, 3-carbon chain. The alcohol that's safe for human consumption in discrete quantities is ethanol, 2-carbon chain. The longer the carbon chain, the more poisonous it is. Propanol can permanently blind you or even kill you, even in small quantities. It's fairly diluted in hand sanitizer, which is why you were okay. But that's not a dice you should roll. The hand sanitizer I just grabbed right next to me is ethanol. I know a lot of distilleries started making hand sanitizer and bottling it in their bottles when the pandemic was first starting. They also used ethanol. I still wouldn't drink them. But many are ethanol. Isopropyl alcohol, a propanol, rubbing alcohol, is commonly used in hand sanitizer as well. It is relatively safe and drinking it can cause negative side effects, but blindness isn't one of them. Methanol, wood alcohol, is the one that makes you blind if you drink it. And it also evaporates quickly so you can get fumes too. Careful with methanol. I don't think they include that in hand sanitizers. My dad gave me a shot of Jaeger when I was about 8 as a last-ditch effort after 2 miserable weeks of barely any sleep due to the whooping cough. No cough medicine had helped enough to let me have more than 30 to 40 minutes of uninterrupted sleep. Jaeger did a trick, and the feeling of waking up rested was such a relief. I felt like a new person. I will be forever grateful for that vile sleep potion of drink. Not even close in my entire 54+ years. Cinzano Bianco. On 9/1984 I decided that after pounding through 3 Carlsberg Special brews, yes, those things, I would inhale, because I basically did, 2 bottles of that shite, mixed with some Coca-Cola. Shockingly, I was extremely sick and was taken to a hospital in South London. I still cannot even deal with the smell of that awful liquid. Vanadalen. It was Eurovision night, and as a good religious worker I had to get to church next morning, so obviously as a good Christian and theologian and youth worker and whatnot, I got blasted with a bottle of Vanadalen that I got from my parents without their permission. That shit tastes like rubber and lost dreams. Not the worst hangover. Not the worst hangover I have spent in a chuck, but the worst tasting one easily. Courvoisier. I don't know why I even drank it in the first place. I always stinkin' hated it, but it didn't take much to get me tipsy or drunk, so I drank it all the time, until the night I drank $89 of it to myself. Absolutely horrible. I got really mean and wanted to fight everyone. My wife had to endure my ranting and anger at the world. Puked for 3 days afterwards. I mean, just stinkin' horrible. Stopped completely after that. Been sober for 16 months now. Svedka strawberry lemonade. Drank a whole 5th by myself all night cause I thought I knew how to mix drinks without the help of my BF. Lol. I was crawling around on the floor giggling. Woke up the next morning and puked it back up. All just clear vodka. I had food that night. Not sure where it went and how the vodka stayed. Port. First thing I got really drunk on. Fell out of the hayloft in a barn. No real damage, but sore, and then had to walk a couple of miles home in very hot weather the next day. My head was pounding and I vomited a couple of times while walking home. In the 40-odd years since I have not touched port, the mere smell brings it all back. You don't know, man. You weren't there. Not me, but a former brother-in-law. Apparent absinthe can make you have really vivid dreams, and one night, he drank absinthe and had a dream where my nephew, his son, drowned in a public pool. In plain sight of the lifeguard. It felt so real. He woke up in tears and had to check that his son was still in his respective room alive and breathing. He never drank absinthe again after that. Cheap vodka. Had a belter of a night and then alcohol poisoning and nearly lost my job the morning after. Was still drunk or very hungover at an important multi-million pitch meeting which my boss also attended. I think I reeked of booze. It turns my stomach to even consider it. Grey Goose on the other hand. That's different. Ginger bombs, vodka. Especially in that combination, had a period in life where this was my to-go drink. Got drunker than I've ever been a few years back in Prague for a school trip. I was 18 plus though, when the bartender offered me free and discounted ginger bombs with vodka shots. Around number 14 I realized I needed to stop, but I still had one in my hand and figured I'd finish it or it would be a waste. Woke up in a bunk bed next to a friend, pushed myself up, reached over them and puked. Didn't hit my friend but watched it run down the wall into her open suitcase. Room had to be emptied due to the smell. We shared it with about 10 people. Teachers were called and I got put under the shower with clothes on. Had to sober up on a sofa in the lobby. Next day I felt fine. Everyone else was pissed and tired and I realized my drinking affected everyone around me. To be honest, that night was the eye-opener and I've had a few drinks at most after that night, and only at home when we have a party, and even then I stop before the point of being drunk. Drinking to the point of vomiting and bothering everyone around you isn't cool. It's not something to brag about, though it makes for a strong story that friends often bring up and joke about. It's one of the most shameful nights in my memory. Never again. Crown Royal. After a party, my friends who had not passed out yet found a handle of Crown that we somehow missed. The three of us drank until it tasted like grapes and the sun came up. I was sick for 2 days and can't look at the stuff without being reminded of that night. Also, going to Denny's after a night of drinking and running into the early Sunday church crowd made it worse with the scent of grandma perfume in the air. Cider. Worked in a pub and we had a staff meeting at 10 a.m. As it was kinda full on and not pleasant, the landlord said we could drink for free for the rest of the day. From 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. I drank nothing but cider. He sent me home as my shift was due to start at 6 p.m. Went home, tried to sleep, threw my guts up which looked like pure black tar, ate a little and went back to work. I was only 16 and my job was collecting glasses and emptying ashtrays. You best believe he told rest of the staff to not touch any glasses or empty ashtrays before I got in and left it all to me. On a busy summer Sunday afternoon there was so much to do and he really ran me ragged for 3 hours straight. When I finally caught up he let me go home early. I started my first day of art college the next day with alcohol poisoning. The other is tequila. My ex and I threw a dinner party and I was cooking up a Mexican banquet. Our guests brought bottles of tequila but no one was drinking as they had work the next day. As it was my day off the following day I drank 2 bottles of tequila, 6 bottles of Corona and half a bottle of wine. Woke up the next day to my ex screaming at me for looking at porn on the laptop. Didn't even know I had done it. She dragged me out of bed and had me run errands with her all day. Had to stop the car every 20 minutes or so I could puke. Not fun. Jägermeister. I drunk half a bottle at a festival then blacked out. Tried jumping in the back of an ambulance whilst they were treating someone. Got dragged back to a friend's house. Tried fighting his friend at the time. Had sex with my girlfriend in my friend's bathroom and once we finished I told her not to tell my girlfriend who is in the next room. Basically cheated on her with her, and woke up about 6 miles across the city at a party house on the sofa with no recollection at all. 99 apples and 99 bananas. Stuff is beyond toxic. Unfortunately, I was gifted a bottle of each which are both about 95% full yet and I don't really want to waste them. Even if they are the worst things I've ever had the displeasure of consuming, I just have no clue what to do with them. Burnett's iced tea flavored vodka. I was given shots of whiskey that was intentionally tainted with something that made me puke all night. Unfortunately the Burnett's was the last thing I drank before feeling ill. So my brain associated it with being ill. I can't even look at the bottle without feeling a little ill. Same with any other brand of iced tea flavored alcohol. In the beer world there are a few styles that I'll avoid. Goes. Lighter style of beer made to have a bit of saltiness. Yeah, that just doesn't work for me. Fruit beer, with the exception of IPAs, even then so sparingly. Beer brewed with fruit is just awful. Notable offenders are beers like Sam Adams Cherry Wheat, or Abita's Raspberry Wheat. Yuck, fruity notes in an IPA usually are the result of the hops being used and most often not even made with fruit. Also, anything beer labeled prickly pear, beer made with cactus. Just, why, sours. I've tried to enjoy sour beer, wild ales, Berliner Weisses, Flanders Red, I just can't. A standard Saison, farmhouse ale is as close as I can get, but I do understand their appeal. There is a great rustic, old-timey appeal to them, wild fermented. But just not for me. Belgian beers. I actually love these styles, Abbey ales / doubles / triples / quads ... etc. But I find that these particular styles give me horrible indigestion. I don't know if it's the higher amounts of yeast, sugar that these styles are known for, or the particular strains of yeast they use. But I can't drink these beers without having to down half a bottle of Tums afterward. Bailey's Irish Creme Liquor. Used to love it, but an unfortunate incident which involved the entire floor of my dorm attempting, and succeeding, to get me wasted resulted in me spewing my guts out from both ends and unfortunately turned me off to this forever. Even thinking about the smell of Bailey's makes me queasy, so after more than 15 years,